Hi, welcome to my channel Cloud with Girish. In my previous video, I explained how to build a simple news summarizer using AWS Lambda and API Gateway. I used AWS SAM to build, invoke locally, and then deploy using infrastructure as code approach. This is part 2 of the series. In this video, I will show you how to further enhance the news summarizer by automating news alerts with AWS Lambda, SNS and Event Bridge. Lambda function will fetch the desired news content using a public news API and will be integrated via Event Bridge scheduler and SNS to send daily news summary to the subscribed email. I will use Event Bridge service to create a scheduler that invokes this Lambda function once a day and sends the news summary via email using AWS SNS. As I have stated in the prior parts, I am building this solution in multiple parts where I will incrementally add features to this solution. The part 1 was about building a simple news summarizer with AWS Lambda and API Gateway. Part 2, which is the current video, is about automating this news alert with AWS Lambda, SNS and Event Bridge. In part 3, I will add generative AI summarization with Amazon Bedrock to your news. And in part 4, I will add a serverless generative AI news summarizer API with AWS Lambda and Bedrock. In part 5, which is the final part of this series, I will create an HTML news delivery using Bedrock, Event Bridge, Lambda and SNS. So before diving in, let's review the architecture diagram to understand how each component interacts. So here is the architecture diagram. We have Event Bridge and we are using the Event Bridge scheduler here to schedule the event, which will on a daily basis will invoke the Lambda function. Lambda function will fetch the news using the public news API based on the parameters that we have provided, and then it will format the contents and will send them via SNS service. There is email subscribe to this SNS service, and that email will get this daily news summary. The entire stack is built using infrastructure as architecture using the AWS SAM. So I will show the process of building and deploying using AWS SAM also. For this, need to have a bit of familiarity with the AWS management console, basic knowledge of Python Boto 3, a basic understanding of AWS SAM, of course, a basic understanding of Lambda, Event Bridge and SNS, since those are the AWS services I'm using, and then just a general understanding of event-driven design and architecture, because this is all event-based architecture where Event Bridge scheduler is basically triggering and then the other aspects of the design. And then of course, since I'm using the public news API, then you need to sign up and get your API key for news API if you want to create a similar solution. So let's get started. I'm going to look at that, what are we building and why. We'll look at the introduction to a public news API. I'll show you the sample AWS template and review the Lambda function. I'll build it using AWS SAM. I will deploy it, and then I'll show you the Event Bridge schedule. We'll look at the SNS topic that has been created, and then confirm the email subscription. And once the event gets triggered, then I will have the news summary email that we can look at it. Everything is integrated through CloudWatch log, so there will be logs in the CloudWatch. And then, as I always say, once done with this, then delete the resources so that you don't incur the charge. So I'll delete the entire stack. So let's look at what are we building and why. So we are building a serverless news summarizer that fetches the latest technology news from a public news API and delivers it through an AWS Lambda function. This function is integrated with Amazon Event Bridge Scheduler and Amazon SNS to send daily news alert directly to subscribed email addresses. The Event Bridge Scheduler uses cron expressions, allowing you to define the exact time you want to receive your daily news summary. Now, why build this solution? Because staying up to date with the latest news is exciting, but manually checking blog, RSS feed, and recap sites can be time consuming. What if you could automate that process using AWS serverless and AI tools? Moreover, like you have control over here that what news you want, you can have your parameters and get the desired news summary in your email. With this automated workflow, you will receive daily tech news highlight straight to your inbox, simple, fast, and serverless. So let's look at the public news API. So newsapi.org is a news aggregation service that provides programmatic access to headlines and articles from major publications, including CNN, BBC, TechCrunch, and many more. According to their website, News API returns JSON search results from over 150,000 sources. The API allows developers to retrieve top headlines filtered by country or category, such as technology or business, and search across thousands of articles from various sources. This service offers a free tier with up to 100 requests per day, though this free access is restricted to non-commercial use. For developers building news application or integrating current events into their projects, News API provides a straightforward way to access real-time news content from reputable sources worldwide. So let's look at this whole SAM, which is serverless application model, and then Event Bridge, Lambda function, and SNS email, since I will be building it using AWS SAM. So when we're talking about AWS SAM, which is the serverless application model, which underneath it uses the cloud formation to build the resources, it just simplifies the process. So here is like my AWS SAM template looks. So if you look at here, the resources defined here is Lambda function, SNS topic, and Event Bridge scheduler. And the scheduler has like pattern defined in a cron job format. I'm using the runtime of Python. It has other standard timeouts and memory size and so on. There is also my API key here for the News API, and then it has like permission policy and so on. So this template create a serverless news summarizer that automatically fetches the technology news article and email them daily. It deploys a Python Lambda function that calls the News API, schedule it to run daily using Event Bridge Scheduler, and set up SNS topic with email subscription to send the news summary. The template includes necessary IAM permission for the Lambda to publish to SNS and require an email parameter for the recipient address. Let's look at our Lambda function. This is not the full code, this is the partial code, but in a sense, it has a function which is fetching the news using the public news API that I'm talking about, and then it formats it, and then using the Lambda and SNS, it basically sends those retrieved content to the email. Now, this Lambda function in this particular example is invoked through the Event Bridge scheduler. So this Lambda function fetches the top 5 US technology news article from the News API and then automatically email them as a formatted summary. So that's really like, in a nutshell, this function is doing. SNS topic is being used for email delivery, and then the function has some error messaging and exception scenario built into it. Now, let's build it using AWS SAM. If you have watched my other video, you know that the command is very simple. It's simply SAM build. So once your environment is all set up, you simply run the SAM build command, and it will build the resources based on that template file that we have and the Lambda function code that we have. And once code is built, in the next step, I can invoke it locally using SAM local invoke. And then once everything looks good, I can deploy it using SAM deploy command. So let's look at the format to invoke it locally. SAM local invoke function name. You can pass the event parameter, but I'm not doing it in this example. I'm simply invoking this function since function is basically already integrated with the News API. So here when I do that, I will see the output, and the output in this scenario like doesn't looks very pretty, the clean, but it's basically returning, if you see, it's returning the news. And then you will see that the function gonna format it like when we look at it in the email summary. So now I know that function is actually returning the value, which is the news summary. I can deploy this function using the SAM deploy command. So here I'm giving the command, there are a bunch of parameters that it will ask. I can fill those parameters, and then that's the workflow basically, that creating, validating, deploying Lambda function using AWS SAM. So this is infrastructure as code. So if I make any changes to the Lambda, I can just run the SAM build command again and do the SAM deploy, and then it will deploy the incremental changes that are part of that build process. So when I do SAM deploy, then it will create a change set, right? And it will give you the option to confirm that, hey, this is the change set that I'm going to deploy. And if you confirm, then it will start creating those resources. That means it will start deploying the entire change stack to your AWS cloud environment. So this is really what these two screens are showing here. The first one is like it's saying, hey, I'm going to create all the change set based on your template file and all the build process. And then once I do that, then I see that it's creating those resources. Once it's all done, then if I log in to my AWS console and navigate to Event Bridge, then I will see that Event Bridge schedule has been created. So if you recall, I did not log into my AWS console before because I'm doing it all through the command line. So I have a template file, I did the SAM build, I did the SAM deploy, and that SAM deploy actually has created the resources for me. So that's why I'm seeing it in my AWS environment, that I now have a schedule created. I also have an SNS topic created here, and then I have my Lambda function created. And all these three resources are coming from my SAM template file and then through the SAM build and deploy process. Now, I do need to confirm the subscription because during the process of deploying, it will trigger an email. I have to confirm the subscription. Until I confirm, I will not receive the email summary. And that's a security feature to prevent spam and ensure only that authorized recipients receive notification. So once I confirm it, like I go to my inbox, like email account, and I confirm it. And once my subscription is confirmed, then I should start receiving those emails. So now, since this is based on the Event Bridge and the scheduler, I have to wait based on the time that I have scheduled for that cron format. But once that time hits, then scheduler will invoke the Lambda function, and then Lambda function will do its thing, which is basically fetching the news and formatting it and sending it through the SNS topic. Now, I can monitor it through my CloudWatch log because log is integrated into this whole solution. So I can do my live tail log, and while I'm waiting here, once it hits, I will start to see the log activity happening, right? So it's saying loading function, and then if I see at the bottom, it's an email sent successfully, right? So that means it has done all the business logic, it has received the news content, formatted it, and triggered the email. Now, if I look at my email, then I should see the email, and this is how it will look like. So now you can see that this is formatted and it's saying, hey, daily technology news summary, and then it's basically fetching me like 5 summary because that's what I have configured that give me like, the 5 headline. So that's what I'm getting here. So this is just like, an example of how these services can be used and integrated with each other. Simple example, but my intent here is to show that how you can use like Event Bridge and Lambda and SNS together to create a solution like this. So now once we're done, as I always say, ensure that you delete the Lambda function to avoid unnecessary resource usage. I can delete it through AWS console. I just have to make sure that I'm deleting the entire stack. So Lambda function, the scheduler, the SNS topic, the log group, and IAM role, right? So that I don't leave any resource behind. Now, since I created it through infrastructure as code approach using the SAM, actually I can delete the entire thing using the same IAC approach. So rather than going one by one via AWS console, I simply can say that, hey, SAM delete. And once I do that, then it will start deleting after the few confirmation that I have to confirm. But once I do that, then it will start deleting all the resources. And then at the end, you should see the final message that deleted successfully. So at this point, if I go back to my console and try to look for those scheduler or Lambda function or topic, it won't be there because I have deleted all of those things that I created using this command. In this workshop, I demonstrated how to build a news summarizer using an AWS Lambda function and automate it with Amazon Event Bridge scheduler and Amazon SNS email notification. The Lambda function uses the news API or aggregator, which returns news result in JSON format. With this solution, you can receive your own daily news summary delivered straight to your inbox via SNS email. I hope you found this tutorial both helpful and informative. If you are interested in extending this project further, stay tuned for my upcoming 5-part deep dive series where I'll walk through building a full-featured AI-powered news delivery system using AWS. I'm constantly creating new content on various AWS topics, so please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the Cloud with Girish channel. Your support helps me continue producing valuable AWS tutorials and workshops. Stay tuned for more exciting content. Thank you.